mine, Sandhya Krishnan, and she's a life coach, an independent coach, a trainer and a speaker. And she specialises in focus, productivity and wellness. And no surprise, that is what her presentation is going to be about this afternoon, focus and productivity in an age of disruption. So I welcome you to the group.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, everybody. So I think without doubt, the session before lunch said it, that was the second hardest presentation, so I'm the lucky one that got the one post-lunch. But I am very excited because it ties in beautifully with my topic. And since that is what we're talking about, may I invite all of you as a challenge for 25 minutes to put away that device that is the bane of our existence these days. And I mean out of sight, out of earshot, and out of vibrate mode as well, and I will tell you why, just as an experiment. Okay? You won't need to take any photographs, you won't need to take any notes. It is the post-lunch session, I'm very well aware of that. My only job is to keep you awake. Okay? So, I'd like us to begin right. Let's begin with 3 breaths. This is not going to be a talk about mindfulness or breathing. We can talk about that in the Q&A because that's something I do. But this is about productivity at work. So how do you sit right? Let's sit with both our feet grounded on the floor. The more of a bell shape that we can create with our bodies, the better it is for our spines. And we're going to take 3 breaths. The first breath is to really just stop the flow of thoughts that are crowding our heads all the time. Okay? So no conversations, no movies, no to-do lists, nothing. The second breath is to refresh and reset. Feel yourself breathing in, straighten your spine. And the third breath is to bring a gentle smile to your face. We carry so much tension in our faces, and a gentle smile is the first step to set that right. It will also prevent me from feeling intimidated, so thank you for that. Okay. Oh, yes, who am I? Jill already introduced me, but I would like to introduce myself a little differently. I am a recovering multitasker. And when I say recovering, I mean it was chronic and it was near death. I've been, after I graduated from law school, I changed many different careers. It's all been exciting. All of those happened in series, one after the other. But in every single job, I had 10 things that I was doing parallelly, and I was very proud of it. I was one of those nightmare employees that nobody wanted to go near. In 1999, it was the dot-com era. I was heading content, technology, and operations for a company that had 3 websites, and we were building India's first online art auction. It was 9:30 in the night, and things were getting to pressure cooker point because we had a deadline. The auction was about to be launched. I found some rogue files on a server, and I got so mad, I picked up a duster, and I don't mean like a cloth duster, you know, the rubber duster, and threw it at my tech team. With intent to hurt, I might add. Not funny, I actually did it. I'm not proud of it, but that's the point to which I lost control. That was not my tipping point, by the way. It continued till very many years later. 2011, I was a retail entrepreneur and I had 2 brands. I started 2 stores in 1 year. March 2011 was my first store. October 2011, a completely different brand, completely different products. My store was about to open on the 12th of October. On the 10th of October, I was diagnosed with TB. And like the kind of TB, as my doctor said it to me very gently, that one would expect to see in the deepest jungles of Africa. And no offense to any Africans here, but he was amazed that I wouldn't have got this diagnosed a month, 2, or even 3 months before. Basically, I went to him when my lung ruptured. My second question to him, after I asked him if I'd inadvertently infected my kids or my staff, was, when can I go back to work? To which he told me again that I was about 2 days away from death, but yeah, sure, go back if you feel like it. I was very tempted, but I was 42 kilos and I could barely walk, but I did go back after a few days. I'm very proud to say today that I do things at my own pace. Surprisingly, I actually end up doing a lot more, I think, but also a lot more of the more important things. I work out every day, I meditate, my phone has no notifications. Well, it has one that reminds me to breathe. and just reminds me that everything is okay. And I work in all of these. I'm a philosophy student, I'm studying as well, and I'm just having the best life ever. So I hope this is inspiration, and I hope you will join me in this journey for me to tell my story. So the theme of the conference was the future of work. Very exciting topic for me. I'm an eternal optimist. But this was also exciting for me because it was a chance for us to re-look at the words focus and productivity. What does focus mean today? And like a very famous saying from an ice hockey player went, what does it mean tomorrow? We need to go where the puck is going, not where the puck is now. So what does it mean? Focus is a concept we're all very familiar with. There's the famous book Flow from 1975. Who can pronounce the name? Mihai Csikszentmihalyi? Did I get it right? 1975 seems like a long time ago. But the thing is, the idea hasn't changed very much. It's 2,500 years old from Buddhism. It's present in Sufism, 3,000 years old in Hindu philosophy. The idea of focus hasn't really changed very much. It's just that we don't practice it as much anymore. How often in our lives do we feel this? Full enjoyment, absorption, a feeling that we're part of something beyond ourselves, attention away from ourselves, and of course, without distraction. So, that's what we hope to reclaim today. What about productivity? Has that definition changed? We've come a long way, baby, from the modern times. What could productivity possibly mean today? We're not worker ants. We're queen bees. But we queen bees are being replaced today by drones. And I don't mean male bees. I mean the machines. What does productivity mean for us today? I thought we should understand the machines that we're all so scared of a little bit. Plus, I love technology, and I thought I could share a story there. Because when you understand the beast, really, it helps you understand what it is you need to do in order to either confront the beast or walk the mile with the beast. So let's see what this beast is all about. What is AI all about that's scaring us? And are we going to lose our jobs with all of this? This was a book I love by Kai-Fu Lee. He attempts to answer in his book questions starting from what children have. Will I have robot teachers? If children do indeed ask that question. To, will my jobs be replaced by a robot in the future? A brief history of what AI actually is. AI, at the very basis of AI, is deep learning. I'm not going to go into the technicalities. Everybody here is supremely well read. But the point I'm trying to make is that the whole shebang really started in the 80s. Okay? There were two schools of research that were rule-based and data-based. It's just that the database school really took off. And by 2012, we had people showing up at conferences and at exhibitions, blowing people's minds away with insane kinds of visual recognition. What basically had happened was the database neural network system of learning had increased its processing power. There were researchers that were working on this, and suddenly things just exploded because data was easily available, right? Developed countries like Europe and the US had tons and tons and tons of data that they could just feed into this machine, and machines could learn and learn, make mistakes and use those mistakes and learn from them. We could learn from the machines, I do believe. And there it was christened as deep learning. And that is what today has well and truly entrenched itself as the artificial intelligence economy. The reason why this is so scary for us is because never before in the history of mankind has anything permeated so deeply and so widely into every aspect of our lives. If you're talking about the steam engine or industrialization, all of these took, what, a century or more to travel across the globe. Even computers took decades before they infiltrated every single aspect of our lives, right? Mostly because we had such terrible dial-up connectivity in India. But that apart, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for each and every one of us here today? Are our jobs at risk? Are we just going to outsource tasks to AI today? The thing is, we all feel relatively safe. We have a sense of complacency about ourselves. We think we're immune to the effects of the changes that are happening around us, because there's so many barriers to entry in our own field. And no matter what the field is, I'm sure there's a big list for you. But the thing is, all of these barriers are down to zero when it comes to AI, because the machines can learn, and they can learn much, much faster than we can. What is the effect of that? I think this was from a hotel in Bangkok, a restaurant in Bangkok just a week ago, if I'm not mistaken. Think about it from the point of view of the consumer, right? He's fed up of slow service. He's fed up of his orders not being taken right and indifferent waiters having to tip somebody. Think about it from the point of view of the employer. Look at the costs, look at the efficiency, not having to deal with all of the sort of the things you deal with HR, basically. Okay? I lost the word for a second there. Lost my focus. So it's almost a no-brainer that one would want to adopt technology, that one would want to adopt convenience, one would want to adopt economics, right? We are going to have jobs that will be replaced. And the thing is, the answer to that is not to be frightened of it, and the answer to that is also not to try and compete with it. We need to understand really what the future could look like, and the more understanding we have, we will be able to formulate our own solutions. There are two big schools of what the future of AI could look like. The utopian school, which is that, man and machine going to be bros together, superhuman, enhanced, it's the end of disease, it's the end of old age, it's the end of global warming, wouldn't that be lovely? I do subscribe partly to that school. But the more eloquent spokespeople of AI happen to be from the dystopian school, Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking being two of them. And their fears are not unreal as well. They're very intelligent men, right? Their essential fear is that you give an intelligent machine a task. Say, hey, D21, please go and find the cause for global warming and eliminate it. So D21 goes and does his research, and he finds that, human beings are the biggest cause for global warming. Let's eliminate them. And can that happen? Yes, it could, because that's what machines have learned and taught themselves to do. It's no longer waiting for us to feed a rule into it, right? But like I said, the truth is somewhere between the two, and the same brain that thought up AI, I think, is capable of thinking up so much more and creating a world and creating a paradigm of AI that is actually sustainable and one which actually enhances our life. Why can't we compete with AI? Because up until now, the definition of what we called human was really in relation to animals, right? We thought we humans, unlike any other animal, were capable of metacognition. We were able to be aware of our thoughts. We can think of thoughts, thinking about the thoughts. It is the product of the mind on the product of the mind, and that's what made us uniquely human. But the thing is, machines are masters of metacognition. Machines are masters of metamemory. We can't use that definition anymore of what it is to be human. How then do we define? Neurophilosophy is a way of explaining life, circumstance, using not just science. And before that, I'd just like to make a qualification. There's so much that's been bandied about today under the names of neuroscience and quantum physics that aren't really about neuroscience and quantum physics at all. And also philosophy, mythology, storytelling, all of that is being called philosophy today. Philosophy really is about keeping it simple, stripping things down to first principles, and trying to find the universality in concepts. So if there's something that you can say in a few words that makes sense in every situation, then you know you're down to a first principle. And that's really what I hope we can get to in order to find our solutions. But first, a little bit of going back to school. How about a science class? We're going to delve deep into the brain to try and understand who we are first as humans. We've just spent a little time trying to understand AI. So ready for some technical business? Sit up straight, please, take another deep breath. And let's dive in. Okay, that's about as technical as we need to get. The human brain. how did we form? We didn't just keep mutating from amoeba to who we are today. It's not that simple, or maybe it is simpler than that, which is that we developed what we call the lizard brain, which most of us are familiar with, the fight or flight aspect of our brain. Now I know the neuroscientists here might want to be curling their toes, but I'm keeping it broadly neurophilosophical, so bear with me. On top of this lizard brain grew the mammalian brain, all right? So it's not that the lizard brain grew sprouts into the mammalian brain, there was another brain that formed over it. And then much, much later came what we call the human brain, right? Which is the neocortex, which is capable of reasoning, thinking, creating things, visualizing abstract concepts. But the reality is that we're not using that a lot of the time. A lot of our actions are restricted broadly to these sort of areas. And don't get me wrong, the mouse brain, the mammalian brain is capable of a lot of activities and a lot of thinking and a lot of intelligence, but it is still a mouse. Even something as high level thinking as superstition actually exists in the realm of the mouse brain. Nobody likes uncertainty of outcomes, right? When we don't know what's going to happen, we want to try and draw the shortest causal relationship to it. So basically what that means is, I'm going to say, okay, this has got to be the cause for what's going to happen. If I do this, I will do well in my exam tomorrow. If I don't cross the black cat, I'm going to have good luck. If I wear this ring, it will bring me great wealth. We look for superstition, but it is also in this realm. Another technical aspect of the brain, the monkey mind. So what is actually going on inside our heads when we're multitasking, when we're thinking, when we're in this area of when we're switching between lizard and mouse brain? We're just jumping from thought to thought, or we're jumping back and forth between thoughts. But the fact is that we are just a monkey in free flow, having fun, swinging. When we are distracted, when we get into clickbait mode, what do you think is going on? It's our monkey brain swinging from branch to branch to branch. But we are still animals. We're still monkeys. And these monkeys and mice, these mammals, they do tend to get tired. All of this activity tires our brains out, right? Thinking is an exhausting process. And jumping between thoughts, jumping from thought to thought to thought, jumping back and forth between thoughts absolutely drains us. And what do we need to do? We actually haven't also our brains haven't changed very much since our caveman ancestors, by the way. So again, if you're thinking about first principles, I find it very easy to just go back to think, what would old Flintstone do? And you'll be able to see how our behaviors are pretty much the same even now. So what basically happens is, I'm walking out of my cave, I'm thinking with my neocortex, ooh, today I think I'll go to that distant forest because there I might get a better crop of berries. I can then store it so I can get some free time, maybe do a little bit of art, it's going to be so exciting. And I step out of my cave and the saber-toothed tiger comes to attack me. What am I going to do? I'm not going to be thinking about that forest anymore. I am going to run for my life, right? That's my fight and flight kicking in. But what happens when fight and flight kicks in is that it shuts down the neocortex because it needs to focus on survival, on instinct. Our old Flintstone ancestors probably had to do that once a week, once in 2 weeks. The saber-toothed tigers didn't have to eat very often. We live with stress constantly, throughout the day, every day. And we're doing this to a large extent to ourselves, as I will talk about in just a bit. And what happens then? Our brain is now telling us, listen, you've just escaped the saber-toothed tiger, you're exhausted, your blood sugar has dropped. Let's look around for the sweetest, fattiest food that you can find, and that will keep you safe from the next attack that you're going to get. So I look around, I need a sugar treat, I need a reward, I need something that's going to restore me to my feeling of goodness again. And I reach out for all the things that we all reach out for because we're constantly running away from our saber-toothed tigers. And what does our brain do? It rewards us with a dopamine hit. Ring! Ah, I feel so good. Until the next saber-toothed tiger comes. And that goes on and on and on again. Now, we do use our neocortex, but we're constantly switching. And that's what's really draining all of our energy, right? In the workspace, every single notification, everything in our work is designed. This is all a result of hours and hours of A/B testing, telling us, oh, look, danger, I need your attention, hello, hello, look at me, now, now, now. And we do, and we're rewarded with, you have no new notifications. And they do, every single time. Because we want the rewards. Except that we're slowly getting neutralized to these rewards, and we want higher and higher and higher rewards, but we are still just animals. Why aren't we using our human brains? Why aren't we using our neocortex if we know that it exists and is capable of such wonderful, amazing things? One, we've gotten so addicted to that high, and we're seeking bigger and bigger highs all the time. And the two can't work in parallel, and it's not always about us. Our workspaces are so distracted. People are coming and asking us for our time. There's so many demands. I have bucket lists. I have kids to take on holiday. I've got a party to go to. There's FOMO happening. Social media is calling me out. What have I missed out? All of that is keeping us in that state of constant stress. How can we possibly use our human brains? And it's not just our brains. This affects our bodies as well. When we're in fight or flight, it's our sympathetic system that gets activated. Back to school again, my favorite place. And what's going on with us? You can see me. My eyes are dilated. My digestion is probably shut down, but it's only going to be for 25 minutes, so I live. So much is going on, right? There's adrenaline pumping through my body. This is my fight or flight. When I switch back, I go into rest and digest, which is where I hope you are. I hope everyone's still sitting in bell shape as much as you can. Keep your feet grounded. I know it's harder for ladies when you're in a skirt, but what that does is it just allows you to relax. It keeps your spine in a neutral position. All right? We need to seek to find this state a lot more in our lives. Or we will be controlled. This was the dystopian future shown in which movie? Does anybody recognize it? Anyone seen this movie? WALL-E. It's one of my favorite movies, okay? So this is what's happened to humans. And I actually had a photograph that mimicked this almost to the frame, but it was so mean that I didn't put it in. But it exists. It's not the future. This actually is our present. What about the cost at work? You want a number? I'll give you a number. This is a number I did a calculation from based on some 2008 studies where senior management was interrupted 6 times a day. Because when you're in the flow, you can't switch back, you can't switch into a task and switch back in again in a minute. In fact, the actual time it takes, this is the calculation that the 2008 study came about with. But now we're not interrupted 6 times a day. How many times a day do you think we're interrupted? Or that we interrupt ourselves, or that our environment interrupts us? 80, 150, 300? It's all there. It's all there. So this number is meaningless because the cost is so huge today. There are some studies here that were conducted by Professor Gloria Mark. Very interesting. If anyone's interested, just write to me. I'll send you that. I will request you to put your phones down for the 25 minutes. Thank you so much. But essentially what they all say is that we're not, in fact, multitasking. We're juggling between tasks, right? Or we're switching between tasks. And that exhausts our brain. Are women better at multitasking than men? What do you think? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes? There's a study for that as well. It just came out in November last year. How lucky was I? So what it found was that women are marginally faster. There's a slightly lower switching time cost when switching from task to task, but not so much in the actual errors. That means that when we're driving and we're texting, we're likely to remember a little faster than men to slam our brakes, but not enough to actually stop that accident from happening. That's pretty much all it means. Multitasking is not good for either gender, or as this study covered, not good for teenagers either, The adolescent brain was believed to be very good at multitasking. Not true. The costs in the workplace are huge. This is a Udemy study as well that talked about distractions in the workplace. This report is easily available on the net. There are no surprises in what you'll find there. So I'm very quickly just going through it. There's organizational multitasking as well, which is a huge drain. Bottlenecks created, underutilized resources, managers stretched, trying to do too many things at a time. There's this lovely company that has a workflow process, and they did a study on Dr. Reddy's laboratories. They found doing fewer projects, running them through a pipeline, got so much more productivity, happier employees. The answer, now that we've understood the beast, I don't think I need to be telling anybody what we need to be doing. We know the answers already. But how do we build a habit? That's the big question. And for that, we need to just keep showing up. We need to commit. It has to come from from everything. It's not just any one thing, right? When I work, I use a tool called FocusMate. It's so simple. 2 of us show up at the same time online. We commit to a 50-minute slot together. We tell each other what we're going to do, so we're stating our intention. It's a finite amount of time, finite goal, and at the end of the 50 minutes, we tell each other what we've done. They're coming out with a B2B tool too. How awesome is that? It's using behavioral psychology. Time is not just finite. It's not about spending, I clocked 8 hours in the office and I'm done. Tools like the Mind tool, which use neuroscience. How amazing is that? We didn't have that 10 years ago. Today we do, to understand what our own energy levels are like, to understand where our motivations lie. Imagine how empowering that is for us to find our own solutions. Because never before, we're not masses and we're not herds, we're individuals. And so our solutions have to be individual as well. Simple visual cues could help. That was the end of the Udemy search report. This is more on an institutional level, what employees really want from their employers. How do we really make ourselves more human is the question. We build empathy, we remove all the noise, we learn the soft skills. This was from the LinkedIn report also, which has just come out. The LinkedIn learning. This is from Harvard Business Review, which came out just 3 days ago. Why leaders fail? Because they're not spending enough time building the things that are truly important. We're all coaches here. Why don't we use that? Why don't we teach people? I mean, there are so many skills to be learned, but why don't we teach things that are, why don't we talk about, we don't teach, why don't we talk about things that are really important? Why don't we just become human again? And then maybe we won't be run by machines. And we won't become idiots. Thank you.
There is time for one question, if somebody wants to pose a question.
Does anybody have a question? Is meditation the answer to all of life's problems? No, it is not.
I think you've got them all into a trance. That's fantastic.
I hope it's not a food coma.
No.
But I hope you enjoyed that. I'm available. Please do come and ask me.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Have you observed overall day by day the patience is coming down?
I'm sorry? Oh my God. Sir, you tell me. Have you observed that?
Yes, very much.
Of course. Because we're constantly stressed. We're constantly in that state of agitation. But it can be built back.
So let's leave with that encouraging message. It can be built back. Thank you so much, everyone, to Sandhya. We will have to move on.
Yes.
Maybe you could connect just after
Absolutely.
the presentation. So please, if we could have another round of applause for Sandhya. Thank you so much for reminding us to be human. And let's connect with ourselves again.
Absolutely.
It's very
Over a
important.
drink, I hope, Jill.
Oh yeah, drinking helps. So Sandhya, if we could present this to you. Thank you very much. If you look at the camera. This is for you. Wonderful. Fantastic.